In a futuristic city, a young man finishes his pitch, facing a boardroom filled with unimpressed executives, already knowing precisely how this familiar story would end. With another polite rejection and another long walk down the hall, he stands alone before the massive lobby doors, wondering why it's so incredibly hard to leave a mark. The scene then shifts to a bustling university campus, where in the stands he sketches as fans cheer for a player named Claude. And though the crowd goes wild with excitement, he remains completely focused. As on the field, the star batter Claude steps up to the plate. This kid knows exactly what kind of pitch is coming, even as the ball is thrown with incredible blurring speed. Claude swings, connecting with a powerful crack that echoes through the stadium, sending the ball soaring high into the afternoon sky. A home run, and the crowd roars for their victorious hero. Later, Claude finds him thanking him for the invaluable tip, and the kid just dismisses his own meeting as lukewarm at best. But Claude encourages him, insisting that his time will surely come. Suddenly, a group of adoring girls swarms around Claude, and the two friends quickly agree to meet up and study later. He walks alone through the city as the sun begins to set, checking his phone and smiling at his friend's predictable antics. He sees a photo of Claude completely surrounded by his adoring fans, joking to himself about his friend's undeniable main character complex. But then a dark, intense look flashes across his own eyes. As a mysterious voice announces it has finally found its protagonist, pulled into a strange digital space, the kid is utterly lost, where a charismatic guide appeared to announce the system's first great demand. Explaining the rules are simple in this new saga of life and death. His first task is given a simple one: survive the coming hunt, as this entire world is declared a grand stage for their game. A system downloads, choosing champions for a battle of living legends. 500 systems have chosen 500 different players, but only one of them will be destined for true ultimate victory. The legends of history themselves watch from the stands like gods, for this grand spectacle is merely a sport for them to enjoy, but for those risking everything for their systems. He is just one of many chosen for this deadly game, and they all fight for the very same desperate reason. It's not for glory, and it's certainly not for fortune, as an axe wielder brings down a heavy, crushing blow. It isn't even for the simple thrill of the fight, as he unleashes a torrent of his own crackling energy. They fight for the only thing that truly matters: survival. The charismatic guide commands his player onward into the fray, while a swordsman, Claude, issues orders to his partner Avon, and Avon prepares to back up Claude in this chaotic system royale. As together they fight to turn this brutal tale into a legend. The battle royale explodes into absolute beautiful chaos, and the system announces the official start with a simple quest: begin. In a moonlit room, a man predicts this will be a tragicomedy, breaking the fourth wall to invite us all to the show. The sun sets over the aptly named Saga apartments. As a young man carries his injured brother inside, they stumble into their home, finally feeling safe from the danger outside. The brother with glasses, Avon, immediately demands answers, while the other, Achilles, locks the door, claiming total ignorance. But Avon refuses to believe that he knows nothing at all. Achilles rushes to his brother's side, trying to calm him down, offering a simple comfort to stop the rising panic. He hands Avon a warm drink, admitting he's just as lost in all this. Avon, now bandaged and calmer, still searches for the truth. A heavy, tense silence hangs in the air between them, until Achilles finally starts to explain, asking about his own namesake. His memory flashes back to a strange, disorienting digital void, where he was pulled from baseball practice, selected by a system. This system gave him a single mission: protect a loved one at all costs. He admits his greatest fear was that Avon himself was the target, and that he made it just in time to save both of their lives. Avon suddenly reveals that he got a notification too, and Achilles agrees the system owes them answers for this entire mess. But for now, all they can possibly do is wait. Night falls and a full moon rises over the silent city. As Avon waits anxiously on the edge of his bed, a glitching armored figure suddenly materializes before him. A spectral man who introduces himself as William Shakespeare. He announces he will be the sponsor for a boy named Avon, and the kid recognizes him from the strange dream he had earlier. He asks if he's the famous playwright, a question posed with disbelief. The bard is immediately insulted by such a casual dismissal, and he scolds Avon for his profound lack of culture. But Avon has a much simpler question: aren't you dead? The playwright confirms his tragic, untimely death with a dramatic flair. Our boy is completely unimpressed by the massive ego before him, but the time for theatrics is over. Shakespeare has been watching, and he knows Avon's deepest desires. All Avon wants are answers, plain and simple. His normal life was just appended by this thing called a system, and he desperately needs to understand the madness surrounding him. Shakespeare agrees to explain it all bluntly. Avon has been selected for a system royale, a real-life high-stakes death game. The stark reality of the situation begins to sink in. An epic battle royale with 500 contestants. 500 contestants, each one with a unique and powerful system. His hand trembles slick with cold sweat, and he collapses, horrified by the lethal stakes of this game. He weeps, convinced he'll die with nothing to show for his short life. But Shakespeare offers his support as Avon's personal system. For inaction is a death sentence, and survival requires a choice. A spectral voice offers him a choice: stand up and fight, but Avon insists he's no warrior, he's just a normal kid. the man reveals that Avon is crucial to the story's ending, and that without him, his brother Claude will surely die. The offer is made again, accompanied by a gentle spectral touch. As he asks Avon to fight for his brother's life, Avon accepts the deal, shaking hands with William Shakespeare himself. Shakespeare tells him he must learn the rules if he wants to survive. After all, his own legendary life is now on the line too. Avon, still unimpressed, simply demands to know the rules. With a dramatic snap of his fingers, Shakespeare begins the lesson. This game has 500 players each with a legendary system as a sponsor. Their goal is to complete tasks and be the last one standing. Failure to complete any given task means instant unavoidable death. Avon raises his hand, a question burning in his mind. He asks how the doctor from earlier used those strange impossible powers. Shakespeare praises his astute and timely observation, explaining that systems are legacies born from historical actions. The doctor, for instance, was contracted to the Whitekapel Reaper. And Avon realizes with dawning horror he was almost killed by Jack the Ripper. Shakespeare is offended that Avon is more impressed by a common killer, explaining the system's contract allows them to lend their players power, and the better the performance, the greater the power they are granted. Avon grabs him, demanding to know where that power was when he needed it. Shakespeare reveals he created the illusion that ultimately saved him. The benefactor reveals his power is the ability to bend reality itself, handing Avon a glowing tome, a weapon for the coming death game. Avon questions his reward, asking how he can possibly fight with a book. The man smirks, explaining that Avon now controls the world of fiction. This tome can summon anything limited only by his own imagination. A magical quill appears from the pages and he's told to test his new power. Avon takes the quill astonished and is urged to let his mind run free. A blinding flash of green energy erupts from the book's pages, as his benefactor watches, intrigued to see what Avon imagined first. Stunned, Avon looks up to see a familiar person standing before him. It's a character named Claude who greets Avon just like a brother. This creation acts exactly like the original, much to Avon's shock. His benefactor is impressed, calling it a perfect summon on the first attempt. He admits Avon's compatibility is far greater than he ever expected. With a snap, the lesson ends and the benefactor prepares to leave, offering one last chance for questions before Avon quickly stops him. Our boy has two final questions and the man agrees to hear them. He asks about the game master, but the answer is a flat, mysterious refusal. The benefactor seems surprised by his own inability to respond. He can't spoil the story, for the ending must remain a secret. Avon asks his second question: how can he be contacted in the future? The man teases him playfully, but Avon is not amused by the games. Having passed the first quest, Avon can now summon him at will. Their contract binds them together, so he'll know when Avon needs help. They are a team now, for Avon's victory is also his own. The sponsor fades out, calling him the protagonist of this grand tale. The glasses wearer slumps over, exhausted by his own eccentric sponsor. The red-eyed man reveals his sponsor is the legendary Achilles. His friend is shocked, recognizing the name of the great hero of Troy. Regardless of who their sponsors are, he knows the next round is starting. A system notification suddenly flashes before them in the air. This mission is a grand quest: capture the enemy base. The rules are simple enough: assemble a team and survive. In an elevator, they realize they've been assigned to the attacking team, and they rush out, needing to find the enemy's hidden location. A sponsor's reflection appears, calling the red-eyed man Avon. He explains the system is designed to test both mind and body, and that the only thing that matters in this game is winning. With a final cheer, he sends them off into the fight. Avon and his friend leap from the elevator, ready for action, but their path is blocked by Achilles, Avon's own sponsor. The legendary warrior throws a shield directly at Avon, who catches the unexpected and heavy gift. Achilles declares the shield is a tool meant for a true leader. He begins to remove his iconic, intimidating helmet, warning Avon not to disrespect the power it represents. His scarred face is revealed, his eyes judging if Avon is a true leader. Achilles issues a direct challenge to the boy: impress me. If Avon fails, he'll be forced to face the other players all alone. Just then, another player appears as a shimmering, unstable hologram. This spiky-haired man suggests his new shield must have a special power. They walk through the city, planning to find other players to team up with. The two sit on a park bench, waiting for a potential target to appear. Sunlight streams peacefully through the quiet park trees. His companion is already bored, completely out of his mind. But the man with the shield hears something moving nearby. A couple on a picnic is looking for their missing food, and they find strange, inhuman paw prints left in the grass. He stands abruptly, sensing that whatever it is, it's not a person. He approaches, a rustling sound coming from the bushes. A small flaming creature darts out from the cover of the leaves. It's a dark animal wreathed in flickering, unnatural fire. His friend yells out, asking where he's going in such a hurry. He gives chase, wondering if an animal can even be a player. He leaps over a large hedge in pursuit of the strange creature. Landing on the other side, he stops in his tracks, shocked. A small yellow teddy bear is held up in the air. As a boy in a yellow jacket shouts that his target has finally arrived, he stands on a playground, commanding a pack of flaming beasts. His companion catches up, calling out the name Claude. Claude readies his bat and shield, facing this new and unexpected enemy. The boy in yellow points, ordering his beast to attack at once. A massive flaming creature lunges directly at Claude. He raises his shield against the pack of shadow animals. The shield collides with the beast in a brilliant flash of light. Our boy finds himself cornered by a vicious shadow beast. The creature lunges with a furious guttural roar. From the sidelines, a new plan quickly forms in his mind. The writer Avon begins to channel his unique power. He writes a new reality into his book, creating a decoy. A voice warns him to hurry and avoid being tricked by the enemy. Avon writes again, summoning a dark fog to hide them from view. He runs directly into the fray to help his friend. A beast's attack is deflected with a loud metallic clang. The shadow creature is thrown back by the force of the blow. The MC braces his shield, hoping desperately that it will hold. The impact sends him flying across the dusty ground. A young kid yells for them to defend the base from the attackers. He stands over his own beast, claiming that they're winning the fight, but the MC denies being on the defending team at all. He approaches the kid, trying to de-escalate the tense situation. The kid is suspicious, fearing this is all just a trick. Our boy explains that he's leading the attacking team, offering proof in the fact they never received a base location. The kid finally smiles, introducing himself as Alex. Together they look up at the strange caged sky above them. A hawk breaks through the digital barrier high above. Their prison is revealed to be a massive enclosed stadium. The new team cautiously moves through the empty stands. Down on the field they spot two lone figures in the distance. A blonde archer questions her opponent's decision to arrive solo. She draws her bow, confident that she can win this fight alone. From the stands, Claude's team watches the tense standoff unfold. The archer's eyes narrow, her focus becoming absolute. But the dagger wielder dissolves into shadow, promising a later fight. She reappears above the spectators, diving directly toward Claude. Claude raises his shield just in time, blocking the surprise attack. The assassin lands gracefully, having found her real targets. The strategist realizes she swapped places with an unseen ally. Claude orders Alex to use his animal to track her down. Alex summons a spectral wolf from his enchanted teddy bear. The creature's glowing eyes lock onto its fleeing prey. Suddenly, a new enemy in a toga strikes the wolf down. The assassin Lily knows her position is now exposed. The blonde archer activates a glowing pink gem on her bow. She unleashes a massive energy blast across the entire field. Lily is caught completely off guard by the sudden powerful attack. The blast creates an opening for Claude's team to flee. But another team on horseback charges in, vowing to kill Lily. The blonde archer joins the chase, another arrow ready to fly. Her energy arrow collides with Lily's dark power in a flash. Enraged, the archer screams out a furious command. She digs her heels in, preparing to close the distance. The archer dodges through a storm of shadowy attacks. A horseman bears down on a terrified Alex. An Egyptian priestess is suddenly on high alert. A shadowy beast lunges at her from out of the light. It throws her back as she screams for help from her partner. A red-haired warrior leaps to her defense without hesitation. He calls to his partner Nero to act now. His power debauchery envelops the creature in a strange light. The priestess uses the opening to launch a counterattack. With a single clean slash, she destroys the beast. Nearby, a lost boy searches for someone in the chaos. A small fiery-eyed creature appears before him, but a blonde fighter moves quickly to intercept it. She smashes the creature into the ground with brutal force. A man in a red toga appears, mocking her effort. His face glitches, revealing a sinister shapeshifter underneath. A shield-bearer rushes in to block what would have been a fatal blow. The blonde fighter gets back to her feet, enraged by the deception. She screams at the terrified boy to stay back and out of the way. The two villains stand ready to attack together. She decides it's time to test a new gift from her sponsor, Mulan. The toga-clad man rushes in for the kill. The shapeshifter charges right behind him, a blur of motion. Her eyes glow, focusing her new and untested power. She unleashes whips of pure pink energy from her hands. The first whip slams into the toga-wearer, sending him flying. The second tears into the shapeshifter's unstable form. He wonders if system weapons can damage other systems directly. The blonde woman strikes down, asking who's going to die first. The red-haired man is caught in a blinding flash of light. Suddenly, a chariot swoops in to rescue him from the blast, but it careens out of control, crashing through a nearby wall. The driver panics as his ride is corrupted by an unknown force. His red-haired passenger is thrown violently from the wreckage. The guy with glasses smirks, revealing it was his trap all along. From afar, the enemy watches the chaos unfold with interest. The red-haired man is furious, mostly about his ruined shirt. A massive energy beam obliterates him from above without warning. The team gathers, receiving thanks for the timely assist, but she warns them not to get friendly as they're still rivals. A message declares the attackers as the winning team. They stand together, wondering what challenge comes next. The stadium field is left with a massive smoking crater. The victors survey the destruction they caused in the battle. Their reward is revealed: access to a special testing facility. The blonde woman is clearly annoyed by this forced teamwork, but the shield-bearer is eager to claim their prize. The unlikely team heads towards their new challenge together. They enter a luxurious lounge, their reward for victory. The shield-bearer is excited, but our boy remains wary and cautious. In the testing facility, he punches a dummy, unimpressed by its resistance, but his shield gets stuck as the dummy glitches out violently. The afternoon passes quietly in the aftermath of the battle. An hour later, a tense meeting between the victors begins. The woman with the bow senses his underlying unease. He asks about system points, offering to make a trade. She explains the complex rules of engagement in this game. System abilities are fueled by a sponsor's fame and legacy. Some sponsors play conservatively, trying to preserve their legacy, while others go all in on their chosen player, risking everything. They even manifest on the battlefield to fight alongside them. Our boy understands now why Shakespeare prefers to stay hidden. He prepares to reveal his own sponsor to the archer Lily. He confirms it, smiling at her sharp and accurate deduction. Elsewhere, a player named Claude is being trained by his own sponsor. His sponsor demands he master the basics before anything else. Claude is clearly exhausted by the harsh and unforgiving regimen. Back in the library, he asks about a particular rival. Lily smirks, recalling an old professional grudge she holds. He realizes this enemy will definitely return for revenge. A new system rule is announced citywide for all players. 2 new players enter the arena, ready for the next round. A dark, confident grin spreads across a man's face. The Egyptian-clad woman is caught completely off guard. Her hand tightens on the hilt of her curved sword. A brutal attack comes from a Roman-style fighter. The blow lands hard, sending her flying backward. A system notification flashes across the screen for everyone to see. A new quest is announced, King of the Hill. Below them, the arena is already a chaotic war zone. Through the smoke, silhouettes charge into the heat of battle. The team leader gives orders for them to split up. Lily and the young boy Alex agree, ready to fight. Our boy clashes with another fighter in a blur of frantic motion. An explosion sends combatants flying through the air. 2 opponents lock eyes, one shocked, the other grimly determined. A massive purple energy attack erupts on the field. From a high vantage point, Lily draws her bow, seeking a target. A new group of challengers leaps into the fray. She materializes a glowing pink energy arrow. The arrow finds its mark, striking an enemy down from afar. Their leader furiously orders them to attack with everything they have. Lily and Alex stand back to back, prepared for the onslaught. The red-haired opponent blocks a powerful strike meant for him. Our boy faces off against a warrior in a winged helmet. The warrior lets out a ferocious, intimidating roar. The boy Christopher is called to unleash his special attack. A shadow beast slams into the winged warrior with immense force, but the spiky-haired man intercepts the beast's claw with his bare hands. The creature howls, glowing with immense untamed power. Lily hides, knowing the enemy archer has a much greater range. A blast of energy narrowly misses her head, singing the air. The purple jacket archer eyes her target with cold precision. She unleashes a barrage of arrows while on the move. An arrow narrowly misses her own face in the exchange. She screams, diving to evade a golden blur of an attack. From the trees, a red-haired archer takes careful aim. The blonde archer sweats, her focus completely unbroken. Her crystal shards surround her as she grins with confidence. A storm of energy rains down on her rival from above. She smirks, claiming this is revenge for a simple scratch. Elsewhere, the tracksuit man fights a vicious shadow beast. A young girl named Alex watches the chaos unfold. The purple jacket archer demands she unsummon her stag. Alex looks terrified by the command and quickly agrees. Suddenly, a masked warrior is ambushed in midair. Crystal spikes pierce through his back in a brutal attack. His teammate screams his name in absolute horror. The archer declares that this fight is over. She walks away with the girl, leaving the defeated team behind. She asks if the girl, now called Lily, is okay after the fight, but a new shadowy threat emerges from the ground beneath them. In another battle, 2 men fight desperately back to back. A massive dark limb descends upon them from the shadows. The green jacket man is thrown high into the air. He screams his partner's name in terror, Avon. Avon strains, blocking the crushing blow with his shield. The fighter screams, calling his opponent a monster. He swings his bat, mocking the creature's immense power. A blonde warrior watches from a distance, calling him a strange lad. A colossal beast lunges from the gloom, its form immense. The fighter's eyes widen in pure, unadulterated terror. Its massive jaws are about to close around him. In another place, a young man is thrown by a whipping tentacle. He lands hard on a dirt path, completely defeated. Dazed and injured, he struggles just to get up. A new man appears, telling young Avon not to move. He points out that Avon's hand is too injured to write anything. Back in the fight, the blonde warrior tells Claude this is his only chance. Claude is pinned, looking up at the crushing force above him. The ground shatters from a massive, deafening impact. The warrior, now in golden armor, shields Claude, warning one mistake means death. He admits that perhaps he may have been too harsh on the boy. He grabs Claude, promising to show him what a true legend looks like. A flash of golden energy cuts through the surrounding chaos. Claude is launched into the air, surrounded by writhing tentacles. He desperately calls out for Achilles' help in his moment of need. Achilles' shield deflects powerful energy beams back at their source. The reflected blasts slice cleanly through the monster's limbs. Achilles orders Claude to aim for the face, the creature's weak point. Elsewhere, the strange man urges Avon to write now while he still can, and Claude swings with everything he has left. At the command of the white-haired kid, the attack began, as vicious tentacles surged from the depths below, slamming our boy with a brutal, unexpected impact, forcing him to leap away from a monstrous thrashing limb, while his allies sliced cleanly through the chaotic onslaught. And he desperately hacked himself free from a grasping tendril, just as a strange disc fired a blinding beam of light, and a voice told him to take a leap of faith. so he and his double jumped together onto the waiting discs, which acted as platforms launching them high into the air, until they landed squarely on the beast's back, finally facing the villain, who simply mocked him, daring him to even try and fight. But our boy had a completely different plan in mind. For he would show this kid exactly what he had seen. And the disc's light flooded the monster's senses, as he stood bravely before the colossal creature, making the white-haired kid recoil from the psychic blast, while a vision was forced directly into his mind, a terrifying, powerful entity from beyond, where he saw our hero standing inside the creature's very core, causing the beast to thrash wildly, sending them all flying, and a voice called out for someone named Bear as they plummeted, when a massive spectral bear appeared suddenly below them, catching him, leaving him completely stunned by the impossible rescue, and his friends quickly confirmed that Achilles had sent the help, though their leader stood firm, completely unfazed by the turn of events, as he began to question the strange perspective of immortals, before a system message declared the event was officially over, and he congratulated his team on a job well done. But then the final results flashed before their eyes: 58th place, a number the guy in green just couldn't believe. And the entire team realized in that moment they had failed. As the penalty was revealed, the gauntlet, and suddenly the young boy Alex began to disappear as the entire team was teleported away from the scene, one by one vanishing into shimmering particles of light, until our boy was left all alone, fading into the darkness. But a new voice suddenly cut through the empty void, and he asked his new companion about this thing called the gauntlet, so the man began to explain its grim reality. That it's a one-on-one battle to the very end. While elsewhere the blonde woman slammed her fist down in frustration, bitterly regretting that she ever trusted the other team, and a voice asked Mulan what she was going to do now, but her weapon simply shattered in her hand, a sign that her power was failing her, and the broken blade lay dormant on the floor as she questioned why her abilities had suddenly abandoned her, while her opponent looked down, a cold declaration on his lips, and this golden warrior demanded to know why they had failed. So Alex looked down, admitting he had failed them all, saying that an immortal couldn't possibly understand the feeling of failure, but the warrior just scoffed, removing his helmet, revealing his scarred face and declaring that Alex was wrong, as he told a story of a time he refused to fight for a dishonored king, and in his place his dear friend Patroclus charged into battle and was slain, a sight his friend's body on a shield that sent him into a terrible rage. And Alex sat slumped in the darkness holding that very same shield. As Achilles confessed, it was a reminder of his own greatest failure, two warriors now bound by the heavy weight of their pasts, and Achilles clarified that he didn't choose Alex for his resemblance to Claude, but reached instead toward a memory of Alex's own personal struggle, when a new voice called out, searching for someone named Christopher Robin, and a teddy bear's eyes began to glow with a strange pixelated light, as the image of a boy blurred and a new presence started to form. A silhouette holding a rifle who denied being Christopher Robin, and a man with a monocle told Alex he's come a very long way, warning him that a massive challenge now awaits them, and Alex, appearing as a child, realized this wasn't who he expected at all. So the man reloaded his rifle, saying he was never who Alex thought he was, introducing himself as Theodore Roosevelt, a former president, and Teddy proudly began to boast of his many accomplishments. While Alex admitted his team is strong, but he doesn't know where they are. So Teddy told him to focus, for they have their own battle to win. As a hunter's voice echoed ominously through the trees, and Alex asked what he could possibly do to help, but the man Teddy only asked for his complete trust, which Alex agreed to without a single second thought, and Teddy simply accepted his answer, as the world around them began to glitch and distort, and a massive dark doorway materialized out of thin air, pulling Alex inside this strange, unsettling dimension, where he looked around, but Teddy had completely vanished. And a new voice began to mock him from the shadows, as a man with a giant axe appeared before him, smirking, ready to reveal the name of his sponsor, while Alex rode a shadowy beast into the ensuing battle, and this axe wielder, sponsored by Vlad, immediately attacked, making Alex watch in horror as his creature was struck down, and he realized he needed a completely different strategy, summoning a flaming mountain lion to take its place. But the beast was instantly caught in a thick, sticky web, as a giant spider descended from the darkness above. And Alex panicked, realizing his opponent had multiple summons, just as bony spikes erupted from the ground, trapping him, and the axe wielder swung down on the now helpless boy, pinning Alex under the weight of the massive blade, and cornered. Alex suddenly remembered Teddy's words, when a giant blue lantern appeared out of nowhere as the red-haired man brought his axe down with killing intent. So Alex dove for the glowing blue lantern, and the axe slammed into the ground with incredible fury, while a hand closed tightly around the lantern's handle, and Alex held it high, screaming out for Teddy, and a voice answered as the lantern ignited with brilliant light, and from the shadows Teddy fired his rifle, a single perfect bullet that shattered the enemy's lamp, causing the red-haired man to be engulfed in a backlash of raw power, as spikes erupted from the floor, piercing through his feet, trapping him as the bony growths climbed up his body, and a dark energy consumed him entirely. While a monstrous new form began to take shape in the smoke, so Teddy leaped in, unloading another round from his rifle, warning Alex that cornered prey is always the most dangerous, but still giving the kid a subtle nod of approval. And in another battle, a different fighter's hand was struck, and he resolved to use the impact's momentum against his enemy, as a swordsman in white charged with a glowing blue blade. so the fighter planted a red shield firmly on the ground. And the blue sword came crashing down towards him. As he swung the shield with a strangely familiar motion, and the swordsman was confused by the words he was saying, for the shield wielder was recalling hitting baseballs as a kid, and he met the attack with a powerful home run swing, meeting the descending sword not with a shield but with a metal bat, and a deafening clang echoed as metal struck metal, a blow that sent the sword flying high into the air, and the recoil was agonizing, but he managed to hold firm. Staring in disbelief, realizing he actually did it. And he called out to Achilles, reporting his unlikely success. But his moment of victory quickly turned to confusion as Achilles appeared, telling Claude to quell his fear, claiming that a demigod knows no such thing as fear, while the armored king dove from above to deliver a fatal strike, and Achilles roared a name, readying his powerful spear. As the two legendary warriors rushed to meet in combat, their clash erupting in a blinding blast of energy, with sword and spear locking in a brutal, grinding stalemate. And Achilles' raw power began to overwhelm the king, as the king's blade ground against the divine golden armor, and Achilles strained his armor, barely holding against the pressure, before he shoved back, driving his spear tip against the king's chest, and the tip of the king's sword snapped clean off, making the king scream in fury, calling Achilles a villain. While Claude understood the stakes, one wrong move and Achilles would die, and the battle reignited in a chaotic blur of motion, as a brilliant slash of energy cut through the air. But the king dodged the attack, carving a trench in the earth, and he caught the spear with his broken sword, while an observer spotted a critical weakness in the king's armor, as Britain was caught in a web of destructive energy, and Achilles taunted him, sensing his system was beginning to fail, daring Britain to play his final desperate card, so the red-haired warrior unleashed a massive final slash, but Achilles easily dodged the desperate attack and countered with a powerful, decisive spear thrust, which Britain just barely managed to evade. So Achilles closed the distance with a lightning-fast spinning kick, launching himself forward like a purple comet, and an enraged Britain demanded that he show himself, floating in the chaos, searching desperately for his foe, when suddenly Achilles was right there in front of him, and their clash created a massive, deafening shockwave, as Achilles mocked him for relying so heavily on his armor, his eyes burning with a furious, righteous determination, and he declared Britain unworthy of the legacy he carried, moving in a blur of motion as he sped past him, and his spear returned, falling from the sky above, plunging down towards the vulnerable warrior, and the spear found its mark, leaving Achilles to stand tall, claiming the legacy as his own, and the observer celebrated Achilles' hard-fought victory, as Achilles revealed he had absorbed all of his opponent's energy, but admitted that both he and Claude were nearly empty, and the spiky-haired man demanded an explanation for what happened, while the blonde warrior admitted his victory had cost him everything, and elsewhere a lone archer floated in a silent digital void, clenching her fist, realizing she was completely on her own, knowing the odds have always been stacked against her, and once again she must face the stage all alone and deliver a performance that is simply undeniable. As the scene shifts to a new player, a scholar, who enters a grand, completely empty theater, and a voice asks if he is one who seeks the spotlight. But he says he wants to do something important, not just be famous, and he's confronted by a man in a wheelchair, a man who understands his desire to make a real impact, who introduces himself as Trey and issues a strange command, "Kill me," and the scholar is shocked by the bizarre request, refusing, suspecting it's a trick as he powers up his energy, but Trey reveals his sponsor is Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, insisting they are no threat and cannot possibly fight, though the scholar's green energy still crackles with suspicion. So Trey asks only for a conversation before the end, and the scholar is confused, sensing no deception in his words, so he points his sword, demanding to know about a certain scroll, a record of all the sponsors they have managed to defeat, and the scholar lowers his guard, finally agreeing to listen, learning that this system royale is a cruel game of death, where hundreds are chosen just to die, all for the cruel and pointless whims of their sponsors. A brutal cycle that repeats itself every single decade. But one sponsor, Aurelius, revealed a way to finally end it, by using a scroll to record the power of every single god, a list that could ensure the right player ultimately wins, granting them the power to erase the cruelest sponsors from existence. And Aurelius, a philosopher, was the one person they could trust. So a dying player makes one final desperate request: tell me the powers of every sponsor you've met, even as her opponent relentlessly attacks her. And tell me the power of your own sponsor. And the scribe remembers the charge Aurelius gave to him, that this was his chance to make a real lasting impact, and the young player Avon calls the entire plan genius, as he prepares to reveal his own sponsor's name, but their conversation is suddenly and violently cut short, as Avon's sponsor appears, ordering him to the next round, and a flash of light separates the two groups, while the scribe's magical quill begins to disintegrate in his hand, leaving him in shock, for Shakespeare has never manifested before. And Avon looks back, a strange new confidence in his eyes, as Shakespeare unleashes a torrent of green destructive energy, vowing that the scribe will die with all of his secrets, but the kid confronts his sponsor, declaring his own purpose, promising to win the system royale for him, but first he demands the powerful legendary tome, and the blonde sponsor Shakespeare just smirks at his audacity, granting the request and summoning the Book of Power, which the MC takes a sly grin spreading across his face, as he offers to share information but on one condition. He demands a copy of the other sponsor's scroll, but the bearded sponsor instantly refuses the deal, and the man in the wheelchair tray flatly denies him, while Shakespeare just watches clearly enjoying the confrontation. So the MC accepts their refusal with a confident smile. As he reveals a critical weakness of the theater, they're all in, but Trey dismisses the boy's threats and his pathetic record. And suddenly the entire stage erupts into a raging inferno. And our boy questions if Trey can possibly survive the blaze, as he calmly reads from the tome controlling the chaos, and a thick, strange smoke begins to swirl around him, from which he emerges completely protected in firefighter gear, making his final non-negotiable offer for the scroll, and Trey glares enraged by the young brat's clever trap, as the scene shifts to two figures floating in a dark, empty void, and in a library a woman learns a boy's sponsor was Teddy Roosevelt. While that same boy waves excitedly calling out to Miss Lily, saying he's just so glad that she made it, and a blonde ally addresses him directly. While in a gym, Alex trains relentlessly, and she finds him there asking if he's a boxer now, but he explains he needs to grow stronger on his own, recalling his search for his sponsor Achilles, and he shows her the search results on his screen now, a number that has dropped dramatically since he started, when a new man emerges from a fiery, chaotic background and the team turns to face him. As he offers them a glowing magical scroll, a list of every single sponsor in the game, and he tells them to memorize it for this is how they will win, and they stare in disbelief it even lists their own sponsors, as the younger boy reads the legendary names aloud, shocked to learn that Mulan was actually real, and the woman warns him to handle the scroll with care while Alex demands to know how he possibly got it, and the team waits for the dark, inevitable answer, as the man with glasses admits that he killed for it. And Alex's eyes burn with a sudden righteous fury. But they were just surviving before and now they can actually win. So the strategist challenges him to come up with a better plan, and Alex reluctantly agrees to the new ruthless strategy, as the man smirks ready for Alex to fail. But the woman asks a critical, lingering question, and the scholar holds the stolen scroll in his hands, explaining it's a copy of an enemy's most powerful weapon, and only the original owners know that it's missing. And meanwhile, another team discusses their next strategic move, deducing that a player named Philomena has gone rogue, and the red-eyed man declares Philomena is their new target, while his blonde ally smirks knowing exactly where she'll be, and high above the glittering city the hunt begins, as an elevator arrives on the 46th floor, and their female teammate questions their infiltration skills, while the scholar admits he's not really used to going out, and the red-eyed man boasts that he never needs an ID. So she tells them to just try and act natural for once. And the trio enters a high-end exclusive bar and lounge, where inside a man immediately tries to buy her a drink, and she plays along with a confident, disarming smile, introducing herself as a newcomer to town, and elsewhere the scholar hates his drink, but that's not the point, as the red-eyed man spots their target out on the balcony, and he approaches Philomena, finally making his move, and she turns, revealing an ID badge pinned to her shirt, and he asks to join her, which she coolly accepts. But her eyes narrow with a deep, calculating suspicion, and a predatory grin spreads slowly across her face, two hunters sizing each other up, the tension electric between them, before the woman in red suddenly drags him away and leaps off the skyscraper, pulling him down with her. And on the roof, Claude screams for her to stop, watching helplessly as they both fall, while inside the bar panic sends people running for their lives, and Claude opens his book, unleashing a wave of green energy. As a massive shockwave rips through the air, and a man with spiky hair braces for the impact, getting thrown to the ground bruised and cut by the blast, and he knows he needs to find Alex and retrieve his shield, so he sprints up a stairwell, hating every second of the pursuit. And meanwhile the woman in red corners Claude, and he raises his hands insisting it's all a mistake, when a spear-wielding woman suddenly attacks her from behind, but the woman in red sees it as just a simple trick, as the spear cuts through her dissolving shadowy form. And elsewhere the spiky-haired man finally finds Alex, and they prepare to move, but a dark presence follows them, a shadowy pursuer who attacks from the stairs above, but he blocks the blow with a glowing red shield, and Alex explains she's using a sponsor to teleport around, so he tells Alex to keep moving, ready to summon his own power, and a determined grin spreads across his face. While back at the bar, the fight continues to rage, and the woman in red presses her relentless assault, as the purple-eyed woman attacks with a cold, calculated fury, clashing with the orange-eyed man, and her strike sends him reeling back, while elsewhere a man in glasses is cornered, as a flaming creature charges down the stairs toward him, and Alex and his partner have finally found their guy, but the orange-eyed man is lost in a sudden memory, recalling the woman's piercing, unforgettable gaze, as their brutal fight flashes before his eyes, and she was relentless, never once backing down. Her expression one of pure, unwavering determination, while his was a mask of fiery, uncontrollable rage. And in the present, the man with glasses breaks up a fight, as a spiky-haired woman says they're not here to kill him, that she knows his previous team failed, but her new team has a solid plan to win, and he asks if he's just supposed to be their hostage, but they don't want a hostage, they want an ally. And high above the glittering city a test begins, as the spiky-haired woman is tied to a chair, and he's given a scroll detailing every sponsor's power, handing the crucial intel over to her. While the purple-eyed woman watches carefully from the side, and the captive is shocked to find her own data on the list, calling it a cheat as her ID tag suddenly shatters, and the entire team stares shocked by this sudden turn of events. As the orange-eyed woman holds a golden blade to Lily's throat, but the man with glasses holds up a hand telling Lily to stop, and on the floor the scroll she was reaching for dissolves, turning into nothing but black ash and smoke. And he smirks, revealing he was one step ahead the whole time. Now tied up, the woman demands to be freed so they can talk, and the man with glasses considers her surprising offer, agreeing, and she is untied, a smirk forming on her face, as she stretches her arms, feeling much better, admitting the scroll was a very tempting prize, and Lily tells her she's lucky to even be alive, but the woman just grins, confident that they need her, which the man with glasses confirms, mentioning their sponsors, and he proposes an alliance, but she has one condition. It's either her or Lily, the team can't have both of them. So he turns to Lily asking if she accepts these terms, and Lily agrees to a one-on-one duel after the final round, a chance to finally get rid of her rival for good, and the deal is made, and the new ally asks about their reward, saying she wants to be taken to their new facility to rest. And as the group walks together, the man introduces himself as Alex, and the new woman Philomena greets the blonde kid, when suddenly the ground lurches violently beneath their feet. And the team stumbles as an earthquake shakes the entire city. And a colossal shadow crashes into the street below as the team emerges into the ruined, burning city. And the women confirm that they are okay, while the blonde girl gives a confident thumbs up, and the man with glasses knows the next round is starting, as a system alert flashes ominously in the sky. An urgent mission: save the civilians, and he realizes the cruel, terrible impossibility of the task, for in this wasteland there is no one left to save. And they can only watch as the city burns around them. And his teammate asks if the book can douse the flames, but Avon explains his power only affects system constructs. So the blonde girl tries to summon a rescuer, but Avon stops her, warning about the other teams watching. And the brown-haired woman Lily mocks his inaction, making her teammate Snap tired of her constant attitude, but she retorts that she bears the burden of all their choices, and the team begins to fracture under the immense pressure, as Avon sees people struggling in the fire. And he reaches for his book, magic glowing at his fingertips, when a new man appears telling him illusions are useless here, warning Avon that they are about to lose, and losing this round means certain death, so he tells Avon to give the people a feeling. The one thing they need now more than anything else is hope. The woman in charge saw only the dysfunction of the scene before her, but she took command nonetheless, immediately calling for an evacuation, her eyes locking onto a civilian trapped in the burning street. And in an instant her body dissolved into a flurry of crackling shadows, teleporting across the chaos to appear at the man's side, grabbing his hand and pulling him forcefully into the warp with her, vanishing from sight with the civilians safely in tow, only to reappear a moment later, leaving her team completely stunned, with one teammate staring in utter disbelief at her incredible power, while another was visibly fired up by the stunning display of skill. As more cries for help began to echo through the ruined city, prompting her to warp across the battlefield again and again, saving everyone she could reach, and as they gathered, a red-eyed man began reassuring the rescued civilians, while a long-haired man explained how their hope is what inspires such action, before he turned to our boy, putting him directly on the spot, because now this entire team was looking to him, waiting for a plan, and he stepped up without hesitation, ready to lead the rescue effort, telling Alex to summon a mole that could find those buried in the rubble, ordering Claude to use his powerful shield for their protection, and assigning Lily to be their lookout, watching for any enemy players, while our boy began to prepare his own unique ability, telling them all that he was about to give them brand new gear, and instantly they were all outfitted in sleek matching uniforms, just as another civilian was trapped by a cascade of falling debris, prompting Claude to smash through the heavy rubble to save them, while another rescuer landed nearby with a look of grim determination, offering a hand to the survivor, promising them safety from the chaos, as a youth screamed out in desperation for someone called Miss Philomena. Soon another survivor was freed from a strange dark energy, with Avon standing over them, his part of the mission accomplished, just as his teammate Claude arrived with another rescued person, and Avon praised him sincerely for a job well done, though the city still lay in absolute ruins all around them. A female teammate soon reported that the immediate area was clear, and a system message appeared confirming they had 46 survivors, which Avon knew was a miracle, but he wondered if it was enough to win, when from the nearby shadows an unseen figure gripped a metal pipe. As Avon consulted his sponsor's tome, searching for a tactical advantage, he suddenly sensed a dangerous presence looming right behind him, and a hand grabbed him without any warning at all, while a sharp blade drove straight through his palm. The attacker claiming he only wanted to disable him, not kill him, explaining that he saw Avon using the sponsor's powerful magic, and this man, who called himself Colin, issued a chilling threat, forcing the agonized Avon to reluctantly agree to his terms. Colin then flashed a badge revealing he was a real EMT, and he told Avon that the precious survivor count was about to drop, as arterial bleeding from their injuries would reduce the total to 40. Then smoke inhalation would surely bring it down to 31. And finally, broken bones would leave their final count at just 24. A blonde-haired man then pointed backed by his sponsor, the legendary Hippocrates, while Avon clenched his jaw in fury, promising himself he'd heal his hand later, just as his brother arrived shocked by the chaotic scene, and he lunged forward fiercely protective of the injured Avon, commanding everyone in the tense standoff to immediately stand down, which left Avon stunned by such a direct, forceful order, and the archer Lily drew her bow, feeling deeply uneasy about the situation. But she reluctantly decided to trust her captain's judgment for now, when suddenly a new threat emerged, holding the blonde man hostage, an agent-like woman stepping out of the shadows into the tense alleyway, and Avon tried to explain his difficult position to this agent Philomena, while the blonde man just smirked, proposing a temporary alliance between them, and his sponsor Hippocrates approached Avon, offering to heal his wounded hand, as Avon stared down at his own bleeding palm. The old man began to channel a glowing blue energy, and a digital whir of light mended the wound instantly, leaving Avon impressed, admitting the power was incredibly effective. So with the deal made, the blonde man got right back to business, as Avon warned them all that combat-focused teams were already on their way, and elsewhere a young boy held up a small teddy bear to a strange bird, while in another part of the city mounted warriors awaited orders from their leader Genghis, and his son, a fierce warrior himself, accepted the command without question. This leader watching proudly as his khans rode into the ruins, but a lookout quickly sensed they had been detected by an enemy, and Lily asserted her authority, reminding them of her past victories, which made the crown leader halt his advancing forces, as an archer took deadly aim from a hidden position, a dark-haired fighter smirking as power surged through her, her magic arrow striking one of the warhorses with deadly precision, which caused the enraged leader to raise his blade in fury. But his foe had already vanished back into the shadows, so he ordered his son Ojde to advance and press the attack, and Ojde charged forward without a moment of hesitation, prompting the archer to shout a warning that one of them got through. But a shield-bearer moved to block the warrior's path, slamming his massive shield directly into the ground, which sent a shockwave rippling through the earth, throwing the rider violently from his mount, and the shield-bearer immediately called out for Alex. As a sniper and a child arrived on the back of a flaming camel, this sniper Alex taking careful aim at the downed rider, planning to freeze the target with pure unadulterated fear, letting his rifle be the hammer that delivered the final blow, and the shot exploded through the air with a deafening crack, striking Ojde down before he could recover, who collapsed to the ground in a heap, his body glitching as he called out for his father, and Genghis vowed to repay them for this tenfold, standing grimly over the body of the fallen archer. As the shield-bearer screamed out her name in anguish, Lily, while a crowned king stood nearby ready for the coming battle, and elsewhere an ally delivered a critical warning to the team, explaining that the healer's powers would only work during the round, and after that he wouldn't be able to save anyone, which meant the healer knew he had to act fast. As in the chaos, two powerful warriors clashed violently, the crowned king swinging his heavy imposing blade, and the shield-bearer meeting the attack head-on, his defense proving to be completely unbreakable, as he shoved back with overwhelming impossible force, while from afar a pink-haired archer fired her own shot, which was met by a powerful surge of dark energy, and a helmeted warrior groaned, struggling against his opponent's power, a woman with shadow abilities striking him hard, the dark power crackling from her very being, as the warrior watched the shadows begin to coalesce, and a spectral bear rose from the swirling darkness, which then transformed into a vicious shadow panther, making the warrior look up in absolute paralyzing horror. As the beast lunged forward, its claws fully extended, roaring as it was surrounded by phantom fire, and on another rooftop the final standoff was about to begin, where a rifleman calmly attached his bayonet, charging the defeated helmeted warrior without a word, their weapons locking in a desperate grinding struggle, the man in the hat swinging his rifle like a club, smashing it hard against the warrior's head. But the warrior managed to land a fatal blow in return, and his attacker collapsed, his leg torn wide open, while elsewhere a woman in uniform was questioning a small child, when suddenly a massive explosion erupted nearby, and a green-clad warrior watched the blast in shock. As a man with glasses, Avon appeared, thanking a teddy bear for the distraction, and his ally reported that the survivors were now stable, just as a countdown appeared in the sky showing 1 minute remained. So Avon gave a final order saying he'll get Lily and they must heal her. Racing down a dark alley completely alone, only to be intercepted by the crowned king with a powerful swing, dark energy radiating from the imposing ruler, who effortlessly blocked Avon's desperate attack. This king then threw a punch that sent a body flying, but Avon dodged it, moving in a blur of speed, as his red-eyed brother screamed for him to wait, but a blade had already pierced Avon's chest, and the clock was ticking down now at 45 seconds, the weapon being pulled free with a sickening wet sound. And his brother, enraged, demanded to know what they had done, slamming his shield into the king with his full force, but the shield cracked under the immense power of the blow, and he stared in disbelief at his shattered defense, as a brutal punch connected squarely with the king, our boy standing wounded but defiant over the chaos, looking down at his fallen comrade Avon, while the countdown clock flashed again now at 29 seconds, a robed elder approaching the downed fighter, offering a gentle healing hand, but the kid grabbed his wrist, refusing the aid. His ally insisting he save Avon because she was the better fighter, and the elder's face hardened at having to make such a choice, as the timer dropped to a mere 12 seconds, when suddenly a young boy ran forward into the fray, standing bravely before the crowned king, whose blade flashed through the air in a silver arc, slicing the boy's precious teddy bear in two, and he collapsed watching his toy glitch and fade away, as the king loomed over yet another helpless victim. But a powerful kick smashed directly into his face, and a new fighter Khan emerged in a storm of dark energy, his shadowy attack scraping across the king's arm, which made the king glare utterly furious at the interruption, and he taunted Khan for his impressive speed, as their powers erupted in a violent, chaotic clash. The king seeing his two targets defeated and bandaged on the ground, swinging his weapon for what would be the final blow, but another blade intercepted his with a sharp metallic clang, this kingly figure Temujin glaring down at his opponent. But the orange-eyed woman just smirked as the timer hit 1 second, and the mission ended their team having placed third overall, so she waved a casual goodbye to the glitching king, who vanished while vowing to find and kill her, the scene then returning to their injured teammates, where the bruised medic asked about their chances of survival, and the blonde man reported they had stopped the blood loss, confirming the woman was stable but the man's life was still on the line. And as the medic shouted orders, a new threat suddenly emerged. The orange-eyed woman holding a blade to the blonde man's throat, challenging him, asking what he was going to do about it, and then there was a sudden flash of red, a sickening slice cutting through the tense air, making the medic scream in absolute horrified shock, while another teammate shielded their eyes in horror, as one of the injured now lay in a growing pool of their own blood, an old man appearing, his face filled with righteous fury, but she just scoffed at their attempt to use a hostage against her. And he warned her that she had made a terrible mistake, promising that future horrors would make her regret this day. The medic then confronted her, demanding to know why she did it, accusing her of killing the man for absolutely no reason. But the bandaged man said the victim was useless anyway, claiming the man's healing ability was not worth keeping him around, and she revealed the cold truth of the matter, that he was bluffing all along, the red-eyed man demanding to know why she would do such a thing. But she only taunted him about who his next target would be, before leaving them, claiming she was the one who carried the team. The scene then shifting to a quiet, empty field, where a blonde archer with an eye patch was taking aim, releasing a glowing arrow towards her target, which struck it dead center with perfect accuracy, and she admitted that this new power felt strange to her, while another teammate asked about their reward for the mission, the red-eyed man now holding a brand new powerful shield. And the strategist finally getting a quiet moment to rest, asking about the condition of his injured brother, but he just snapped back, clearly annoyed by the question, and meanwhile the man with glasses was resting in a bed, appearing to be in a deep, peaceful sleep, but his mind was actually somewhere else entirely, as his eyes snapped open, glowing with a vibrant green light, and he found himself standing in the ruins of a familiar place, a voice telling him of a theater that had once burned down. This long-haired man saying it looked just like this place, putting a hand on the kid's shoulder telling him not to wake up yet, and the kid asked about Shakespeare's legacy within the game, the man confirming that he is in fact the greatest legend of all, revealing that this system royale happens every few centuries, and when a question was asked about the rules, a confident knowing smile spread across his face, as he told his sponsor that this would not be his end, vowing to be the one who brings the final curtain down on this entire game. And then the vision faded into a peaceful quiet, as he jolted awake in a sterile hospital bed, the painful memory of the attack still stinging his mind, and he realized the team's healer must have saved him, when suddenly a glowing envelope appeared out of thin air, a private message intended only for team leaders, and his eyes widened with a deep sense of intrigue, just as a teammate appeared in the doorway of his room, and he learned that another ally, Lily, had also been badly injured. So our boy asked about his friend's condition, but his teammate just scolded him for his recklessness, insisting that the team needs him if they are going to win. The MC then mocked his friend's newly damaged shield, which left his teammate completely exasperated with him, but he made it clear that he would never quit on them, and our boy began to question his friend's willingness to sacrifice himself, which made his teammate mention a lesson from the hero Achilles, referencing a specific story from the ancient Iliad. A tale about understanding a hero's limits, showing a flashback to a desperate ancient battle, where Achilles' friend fought in his place and ultimately fell, a dear friend's sacrifice that ultimately secured the final victory, though this war was won at a truly terrible cost, and the red-eyed man admitted he would rather be that friend. Wondering what could have been if things were different, back in the present Avon was finally awake, his team gathered around his recovery bed to see him, and Avon apologized for putting Lily in so much danger. But she told him it was an inevitable part of the game, while Alex praised Avon for his impressive growth as a leader, calling Philomena the MVP but also a complete psychopath. But Avon had something far more serious to announce, revealing a secret message that was meant only for the leaders, and the shocking news was that all teams were going to be disbanded, which left Alex completely stunned by the sudden announcement, and Lily suspected the incredibly high death toll was the cause. But the red-eyed ally vowed to stay by Avon's side no matter what. While Philomena pointed out that this completely ruins their plan, Avon insisted, however, that their mission was still on. As the next trial was announced, a challenge of wilderness survival, and the team stood together ready to face whatever came next, finding themselves dropped into a dense, unfamiliar forest, where Lily noted that everyone was equally lost for now, so Avon took the lead searching for a suitable campsite. and they pushed deeper and deeper into the unknown woods. The red-eyed ally urging Alex to keep moving forward, because as dusk began to fall they needed to find a place to camp, and Alex soon found a clearing that he thought would work, assigning Lily and Philomena to set up the camp, while the other two were ordered to scout the perimeter, and Alex admitted he couldn't trust Philomena alone with Lily. As night finally fell over their new temporary camp, an older man arrived seemingly impressed by their work, and he warned them to keep the fire low to avoid detection. While Philomena stood watch from the edge of the darkness, and Alex's spectral animals also patrolled the surrounding area, the man praising their teamwork, but Alex said it was ending soon, which made the man's expression darken at the unfortunate news. And meanwhile the scouts found the woods to be eerily quiet, the shield-bearer feeling paranoid, but his partner told him to relax, warning him against letting his fear take over his senses, when a sudden sound from the bushes froze them in place. And they stood back to back ready for an imminent attack, planning to strike whatever emerged from the darkness. But it was only a small fox that stepped into the clearing, making the woman scoff at the ridiculous false alarm. As the fox darted quickly across the grass, a flash of red energy suddenly slammed into it, and the small animal was instantly disintegrated into nothing. The scouts, realizing they were nearly vaporized themselves, so they decided it was best to find another route. Hiding in the brush as she led him onward through the trees, they pushed through the dense foliage toward a strange, distant glow, and his eyes widened in utter disbelief at what he saw, a massive, impossible fortress looming over the nearby cliffside, and she decided they had seen more than enough for one night, so they turned back heading into the enchanted forest, but an ambush was waiting for them in the shadows, and they were caught completely and totally off guard, raising their hands up, surrendering to the gunmen, whose leader ordered them to immediately disarm, their weapons clattering loudly onto the forest floor, and she dared them to just get it over with, but their captor seemed to have other plans in mind. He whispered, asking for a plan, but she admitted she had none, and the ambushers decided to use them as bait for the others, so he tried to stall for time, asking about their sponsors, but the blonde man just scoffed, confident in his own power, when suddenly a new player entered the tense scene, getting uncomfortably close to the captured woman. His touch a clear, menacing, and unspoken threat. An arrow of pure light sliced silently through the air, striking the man in the hat, silencing him for good, and the blonde captor whirled around completely stunned, as a monstrous shadow beast erupted from the darkness, our boy grabbing a hostage, turning the tables instantly, and a gunshot cracked the silence of the forest, the old man dispensing his own form of swift justice, as the rest of the team finally arrived to support them. And he realized they had left him behind as bait. The man with glasses confirming that was indeed the plan, that it was a calculated and very dangerous trap, which made him furious at Avon for taking such a gamble. But Avon insisted it was their only viable choice, and the woman with the eye patch offered them all dinner as they discussed the power behind the mysterious castle. The plan was set: they would make their move at midnight, and under the pale moonlight the team advanced, reaching the edge of the dark forest, watching the clearing from the safety of the bushes. As a lone woman emerged from the castle gates, and a crowned king on horseback appeared to meet her, the two of them meeting under the stars, and when the king departed it gave them their opening. The signal was given to begin the assault, and they sprinted towards the castle gate, but a massive wall blocked their path forward, so Avon asked Alex for some kind of climbing animal, and a flaming beast began to scale the stone wall. Once inside, Avon assigned lookout duty to the team, giving Philomena a secret mission, an assassination. And the dark-haired woman smirked, accepting the task, walking purposefully through the castle's grand hall. Peeking around a corner, she assessed the situation, finding her target asleep, vulnerable in their bed, while outside a mustached sniper kept careful watch, and a knight in full armor challenged an intruder, the sniper lining up his shot on the armored knight, a rifle cracking through the otherwise silent night, as a woman was pinned down, a knife held to her throat. And meanwhile Miss Lily and a young boy walked through the woods, the boy asking if he was actually useful in a battle, and she confirmed she protects him but had more to say, explaining it's her job to have everyone's back, and he asked with wide eyes, "So I'm not a burden?" "Every team member is both a burden and a blessing," she explained, before telling him to hurry because they were falling behind. But the boy stopped, a new resolve shining in his eyes, holding his teddy bear high, activating its hidden power, and the toy erupted into a massive fiery raven, this flaming bird descending upon the chaotic fight, its talons scratching across the knight's armored back. Distracted, the knight now stared down the barrel of a rifle, and he retaliated with a powerful glowing kick, which threw the gunman backward from the sheer force. The fiery raven then swooping down for another attack as the armored man swung his blade with incredible fury, scoffing at the very idea of being beaten here, for he was Sir Lancelot Castellan of Joyeuse Garde, but his target was already on the move, repositioning, when a gunshot suddenly rang out from nearby. The dark-haired woman was pinned to the ground, a hand closing tightly around her weapon, and a fist slamming hard into her gut, a new challenger standing over her, taunting her defeat. The dark-haired woman's eyes glowing as she attacked, lunging at her new opponent with blinding speed, but her wrist was caught in the middle of the strike, her grip being pried open by superior strength, the knife slipping from her grasp, and her only weapon was now lost to her. A swift punch came flying back in retaliation, blow connecting hard against her jaw, and the brown-haired woman smirked down at her, mocking her for needing the blade to fight, a powerful kick sending her crashing back to the ground, the woman calmly reaching for the fallen knife. And now armed she towered over her defeated foe, but the dark-haired woman just smiled, daring her to do it, which made her attacker hesitate, confused by the sudden challenge, her resolve hardening as she prepared to strike the final blow, even as a blade pierces straight through her hand. She defiantly catches the cold steel in her teeth, mocking her attacker, and in that flash of pain, a memory surfaces of her power first awakening, a time when she wandered utterly alone through a dark and silent forest. But back in the present, she curses the searing pain in her wound, though a confident, almost predatory smile quickly returns to her face, her heart pounding with a familiar surge of adrenaline, as a king on horseback charges her down with murderous intent, forcing her to bolt through the trees in a desperate weaving sprint. Knowing in her gut that she can't risk swapping places with Brutus, because this king would surely cut him down without a second thought, so she steels herself for the inevitable confrontation, his heavy sword slicing the air right beside her head. But she doesn't stop pushing forward relentlessly through the undergrowth, seeing her destination looming ahead, a castle under the pale moonlight, for that is her only destination, her one and only hope for survival. While elsewhere a knight in heavy armor roars into the heat of battle, his shield deflecting a powerful crushing blow, and the man in the fedora he's protecting offers his sincere thanks, while his younger partner seems absolutely sure of their coming victory, prompting the older man to raise a rifle, carefully taking aim, and a single sharp shot rings out in the dead of night, making the guy with glasses think the fight has been handled. But then a cold dread washes over him as he realizes someone is missing, and he turns in a blind panic, frantically searching for Alex, who at that very moment steps into the quiet moonlit ruins, kneeling down to question the fresh blood staining the ground, when suddenly a strong arm wraps tightly around his neck, cutting off his breath completely and silencing his gasp of surprise, as a voice from behind shushes his panic struggle, and he quickly goes limp in the stranger's unyielding grasp, who then drops him to the ground, muttering that he deserved it. But then she sees something that gives her pause, something that confuses her. And on the ground our boy finally finds his voice and shouts out in alarm, just as a wounded knight appears, declaring that the fight has been decided, standing precariously on a glitching wall while lamenting the brutal battle, telling his companions they must flee now before they all fall, which sends a woman with short dark hair running for her life, as the crowned king charges forward once more on his powerful horseback, and this running woman looks back over her shoulder at the others, her eyes wide with a potent mix of fear and desperation, while the survivors regroup, our boy now carrying their wounded companion, their faces grim and set ready for whatever is coming next, as the king draws his sword with a look of deadly intent, promising them a reckoning, an eye for an eye, but declaring he will wait until tomorrow to claim his final revenge. And with that the king turns and rides away into the darkness, leaving the person in yellow to bleed out slowly on the cold grass. As the small group gathers around their fallen friend, who with their last breath whispers two important names, triggering a memory of Alex admiring his friend's incredible strength, and the red-eyed man reassuring him of his own unique worth, a memory that haunts Alex now as he lies bleeding out, hoping he was useful, while Lily, the woman with the eye patch, watches over him, his last words reserved for Avon, professing his belief in their plan to finally end the system, and Avon promises to see it through to finish this for him. Just as Teddy arrives to comfort the dying boy in his final moments, and Alex apologizes for not being strong enough to win, but Teddy vows that he will always be remembered, a promise sealed by a small lonely grave that marks a heavy loss. Back in the present, Mina recalls their enemy's strange lingering mercy, how he allowed them the dignity of burying Alex first, while Avon analyzes their foe's terrifying power, trying to find a weakness, and Mina reminds him just how close he himself came to death. But now Avon stands with new resolve, a new plan ready to be unleashed. His thoughts interrupted by the sound of approaching hooves echoing in the quiet, as Genghis Khan appears led by a strangely familiar face, causing Lily to facepalm, recognizing the flutist immediately, realizing he's the same guy they met at the rooftop bar, and this flutist points a commanding finger, ordering the attack, spurring Genghis Khan and his horse forward into a thundering gallop, as he charges directly at their small, weary group, and Avon shouts the signal, unleashing the full force of his power. While Mina and Lily stand firm beside him, their own auras flaring to life, a warlord on horseback charges through the ensuing chaos, while a Roman warrior stands his ground utterly defiant, and from the shadows Liliana draws a single glowing arrow, just as the field erupts in a devastating series of explosions, and the sunglasses wearer recognizes the legendary conqueror before them, while the shield bearer and his partner rush forward to defend their allies. But their opponent just grins, clearly ready for a good fight, swinging his massive club down with overwhelming force, only for his partner to counter with a swift, vicious strike of her own, a powerful blow that connects perfectly, stunning the massive attacker, who staggers backward completely and utterly caught off guard. As she stands over him, a dark and potent power emanating from her, and two more figures emerge from that strange, swirling energy, the newcomer introducing himself as Avon of Shakespeare, offering the defeated man a surprising and intriguing proposition. As the wilderness trial finally ends and a new stage is announced, During the brief break, Liliana pores over ancient cryptic scrolls, when a woman with short black hair approaches her from behind, speaking Liliana's name with a chilling and unwelcome familiarity in her voice. Elsewhere, someone surveys the vast glowing cityscape from a high vantage point, and this dark-haired woman tells her partner to relax for a moment. But the red-eyed man Claude remains tense and on edge as he confronts the legendary warrior Achilles with an accusation. And Achilles furiously denies having any of his great power left, prompting Claude to smile, revealing he's been using Achilles' power all along. Later, a man asks if Avon is truly ready to be remembered by history, but Avon rejects the very idea of fame, claiming it's not his to take, insisting that this is a responsibility he carries, not some kind of prize, and he walks with his ally, vowing to honor all of the system's victims, as a countdown appears in the sky for the urban free-for-all. And his ally admits that they have all done terrible things to survive, but Avon tells a new man, Lance, that their past foes were never the true villains, because as this final round begins, they charge towards the real enemy, the system.